Hi, my name is Marshall, and this is Waveform. As a sound designer, there's something especially exciting about the idea of making sounds for a game that's just about one thing. Like, for example, doing car sounds in a racing game, gun sounds in a first-person shooter, or the skating sounds in a skateboarding game. The last 10 years since the release of Skate 3 have been a sad time for fans of the skateboarding genre. Despite an obvious desire for a new AAA multiplayer skateboarding game, in my opinion, the only two fun releases we've seen have been Session and Skater XL, which, while innovative and awesome, are made by smaller teams and don't quite deliver the polish and feature set that made games like Skate 3 so great. That is, until the recent Twitter announcement that Skate 4 is indeed happening.
Alright, let's check out some more of this map, because I don't want to chill at one place for too long.
We've been getting so many more skateboarders lately, female and male, and it's been so crazy to see the development of that.
This is Nightspeeds. He's a very popular YouTuber who plays almost exclusively skateboarding games, and he works at a skate park, but most importantly, he knows what it's like to do a nollie heel flip off of a 5-stair in a game and in real life, so he's the perfect person for us to learn from. I wanted to figure out from him what features in skateboarding games emulate real life the best, and what doesn't quite capture the same feeling.
Once EA Skate 1 came out, that was the experience you wanted, skating within a video game. And I think now that Session and Skater XL has upped that to another level where you actually have control of both feet, I think that gives more of a rewarding feeling once you catch the trick at the right time, you land the perfect 180 spin down this huge gap, and everything is just looking clean. I definitely think that's a more rewarding feeling than doing it clean in a Tony Hawk game, for example. And I think from talking to Easy Day Studios, something they want to do for Skater XL is like developing this instrument where you know what everything is doing, what everything is having an effect on. But the reason why you can't do whatever you're thinking of, that's actually you having to learn the movements of that. I think that's like really, really cool. That's something that simulates skateboarding for me the best right now. I would say you have more options of failure, I would say. So getting the actual perfect landing, that's more rewarding when you get there.
It seems like the days of button mashing in a skateboarding game are for the most part behind us, and we're moving more towards a physics-based, literal interpretation of what skating is like. Take a look at what Nightspeeds is talking about in Skater XL. Your left and right stick correspond to your left and right foot, and where you place those feet and how you move them through your flick determines what direction and how fast your board flips or rotates. All this new board physics can really change the way audio is implemented. It also makes the sound designer ask new questions, like, what if the back wheels land first? Should each wheel make its own sounds?
So that's a very interesting question, because I think personally, I would almost like for each wheel to have their own sound. So that once you nail like the perfect little echo of 4 wheels hitting at the same time, that would be like, wow, that was amazing.
I totally agree with Nightspeeds. I'd love to see Skate 4 individually voice each wheel on the skateboard, not only to make landing a trick perfectly feel more satisfying when you do it just right, but so that if half of your board is riding on dirt and the other half is on concrete, you hear both materials. The sound designers of Uncharted 4 took a similar approach when designing sounds for the Jeep.
On the Jeep, each tire is individually synthed on what it's driving on, how it's driving, where it's skidding, is it losing any pressure, those types of things, and it really kind of brings the Jeep to life.
All right, hang on, guys. Nathan the Rocks.
I think that would be such a satisfying detail, each wheel making its own little sound.
I always trip out on, like, do they sound different? It must sound different.
They sound different for sure.
That's the only thing. I think I said a skateboarder. I was talking about the other day. I was like, man, I snapped my board up. I'm like, dude, that's what I want to hear. And if you don't hear that sound, it kind of fucks up your whole thing in skating, I feel like.
Everybody knows what they like.
Everyone,
right?
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
reality. You know what you like. You don't necessarily know why.
Skaters really do care a lot about the sounds they hear from their board. If you think about it, a skateboard really functions a lot like a record player. The wheel is like the needle, and the bumps in the pavement are like the grooves cut into the record. The difference is that instead of the electrical signal being sent to a speaker, the sound just vibrates through the trucks of the skateboard, and the wooden deck itself becomes the speaker. Now imagine that you replaced your metal record player needle with a plastic needle. It would have a huge impact on the sound, and the same is obviously true for a skateboard. I'd love to see in-depth board customization in Skate 4, and to be able to hear the difference as I change things like wheel hardness. Now, of course, another huge component of the sounds of a skateboard is what it's riding on. When I started blocking out the script for this episode, I wrote down that I wanted to talk about surfaces and that there needs to be tons of variety in Skate 4 with the types of concrete and pavement sounds that your wheels can roll on, etc. I eventually crossed it out because I thought it'd be boring to talk about, but then Nightspeed said this in our interview.
But we do have this spot in the town I live in where it's just this kind of basic marble ledge. It's not too high. It's kind of round. It's not perfect to skate, but the flat ground leading up to it are these like small tiles. So as you're rolling, and it's not clean at all to roll there, but the sound those tiles make, it just makes the spot so much cooler for some reason. I can't really explain it because they'll be crooked and sometimes you'll get stuck and like fall, and it's really not fun. But just rolling on them, getting up there, doing a trick on the ledge, and then landing and rolling to that sound, that's like I just thought about that when you first initially asked me to do this interview. I thought, yeah, why are we skating that spot? And it's simply because of the flat ground. It's like brrr, and you go and then you get up there and you slide and then you get back onto it. It's so awesome.
When he said that, I realized that sound can tell a story about a skate spot just as much as environment art does in a game. Skate 4 will no doubt have a wide variety of locations, from ultra-clean, modern, expensive-looking skate parks to neglected old street spots with rusty rails and cracking concrete. What if you could close your eyes while someone was playing Skate 4 and know exactly where they were just from the sounds of the roll-up, the rail, the environmental sounds, and the reverb? Alright, I think it's time we try it ourselves. Let's put all these ideas into practice. Here's the clip we'll be designing to. This trick is called a laser flip. Like always, let's watch it a couple times through together in silence and try to imagine what we would want it to sound like. Alright, now let's start building up layers. By the way, I want to mention that asoundeffect.com was kind enough to send me the 2 skateboarding sample packs that I'm using to create example designs in this video. The packs are called Skateboard by SFX Monkey and Skate on Board by RZ Post. Go check them out, the links will both be in the description. Also, if you want to see the full 30-minute long in-depth lesson video on the skateboard design session, it'll be on my Patreon, which is also in the description. Okay, let's start by designing a nice full ambience bed for the plaza, and we'll add some whoosh sounds that'll ramp up the longer the player spends in the air. Now let's add some Foley sounds to the character, things like footsteps and clothing rustling around when he moves. Now we'll add all the basic sounds of the board rolling, using pitch and volume automation to subtly match the speed of the character as he pushes and gets faster. I'll add some variation as well to make when he lands sound slightly different than rolling up. This is pretty much the layer that everything else will be built around, so it's important to have it feeling satisfying all on its own before moving on. I also want to add a detail layer on top of the rolling sounds for the wheels hitting the cracks between the tiles. I made 2 little wheel bump sounds and looped them in a sampler, increasing pitch and volume as the player gathers speed. Next, the laser flip. First, I'm going to design a realistic version of this trick. A pop, flick, catch, and land, all using real recorded samples from asoundeffect.com. Now on top of that group, I'm going to add a bunch of sweeteners. These are sounds that you probably either wouldn't hear at all or completely unrealistic sounds that just add some character and feel to the whole thing. I added whip sounds during the pop, sounds of the loose wheels spinning on the board, and the sounds of an egg sizzling in a pan when he lands. This is the most fun part. To beef that up a bit, I'm going to add a layer of sub-bass kick drums. This is going to add some weight and really make you feel like you're the one on the board, even though isolated here it might not sound like much. Last but not least, the reverb. I chose an impulse response from a back alley and shortened the release a little bit to fit this space better. I want it to feel open, but the most important thing is to give these sounds the feeling that they're bouncing off the walls next to us. Take a listen to just the wet signal from the reverb. Alright, now let's take a listen to all those layers mixed together in the final clip. I'll play it through a couple times. What do you think? Was that design too over the top, too realistic? Let me know how you guys want Skate 4 to sound. Personally, I'm just excited to hear where they take this game. I think it's long overdue, and I'll certainly be playing it day one to see what it's all about. Thanks again to Nightspeeds and to SoundEffect.com. If you enjoy Waveform, you can always support the show on Patreon for a bunch of sweet extra content, or buy one of our killer t-shirts on Teespring. All these links can be found in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.